Hi, welcome back. You're watching Michelle's Life. My name is Michelle, and I have my friend Mark on my channel again to review another Star Wars book.
So today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Ahsoka by E.K. Johnson, which for those of you who do not know, follows the character Ahsoka Tano from the Star Wars Clone Wars series, cartoon series that was on Cartoon Network, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, it's a book all about Ahsoka. It basically picks up right after the events of Revenge of the Sith, right after Order 66, when all of the Jedi were on the run. So this book picks up with Ahsoka. Doesn't give a really good time frame about where it picks up at, but if I had to guess, probably about a year, maybe two, post the events of Episode 3. And she's basically on a planet working as a different person. She's assumed a new identity, and she's working for a family on a completely different planet when the Empire shows up. So when the Empire shows up, she's on the run again, goes to another planet, and is kind of wrapped up in their politics on that planet again when the Empire shows up. And this time, instead of running, she decides that she's going to help these people escape the wrath.
Nice of her.
So she's one of my favorite characters. I really fell in love with her from the Clone Wars series, and I would not recommend reading this book if you have not watched that. So if you haven't watched at least, I'd say, the first 5 seasons of Clone Wars, I wouldn't read the book because you're really not going to know the character. It's going to be a really awkward read. There's going to be things that they're referencing and they're talking about that you're not going to have any kind of idea of what's going on. So if you haven't watched that, I just wouldn't touch the book at all until you have. But it really does show her character grow. It shows, I mean, if you watched Rebels at all, she does come back in Rebels, and this kind of sets that up. So you kind of learn how she gets involved with Bail Organa and the Rebellion and things like that as she comes closer and closer to the series of Rebels. And it really shows, I mean, if you look on the front of the cover, you can kind of see that she has different colored lightsabers than she did in the Clone Wars series, for those of you who have read that or watched that. So it kind of goes into that as well and shows how she evolves into basically to become the character that she is in Rebels, and it shows that she's grown up a lot. When we see her in Clone Wars, she's very young, she's relatable for a younger audience, and it really makes sense that, kids, it was a cartoon series, that they would really relate to that character, who I really related to as well. I was much younger when I watched it. And then now we see her as we go into her new persona in Rebels, and this really explains that transition really well. And it was a really good read for those of us who like that character.
Well, I think it's cool that you get to see that new development, that you get to see her in the cartoons as a kid and then transitioning to, what is she, like a teenager or late teen?
Well, in the cartoon series, she's probably like 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
In this, so she's probably 15, 16 years old in this, maybe a little older.
So she's breaking on adulthood.
And then by the time we see her in Rebels, she is an adult.
Okay.
I don't want to tell a whole lot about the characters that we meet in this because I don't know if many of them show up in Rebels. I don't really recognize any of them from the Clone Wars series at all. But I don't want to talk about the new characters very much because they don't really play a big role on the whole scheme of the book. It's basically how Ahsoka interacts with them is what the real big deal is, and how she starts off the book with one mindset of, I really am just going to be taking care of myself, and ends the book in a new mindset that is, I need to find a way to take care of these people and myself. So, and that happens, we do see her go back to the planet that the book starts on, and her whole interaction with that family is a lot different when she sees them the second time. So it really is watching this character grow up. So if you're a Ahsoka Tano fan, I would really recommend reading it. It was awesome. Most books I read over the course of a week or two because I'm a slow reader. I read this one in 2 days.
I was impressed.
It was an excellent read. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hoping that E.K. Johnson writes a sequel because I really enjoyed this one and I really like that character.
So as of right now, there isn't word on whether or not he's going to write a sequel for it?
No, there's not a word as to whether or not she is going to write a sequel.
Okay, she, my bad.
So, as of right now, reading what she had put on in the book, she was really excited to write Star Wars, so I expect more from her. I just don't know who it's going to be or what it's going to be.
And would you give this a star rating?
Again, it's based on me personally because I really like the character. I'd probably say 4 stars. It definitely had some downtime, some lull moments that, maybe didn't need to be there. I think they had some kind of throwback stuff to stuff in Clone Wars that felt a little awkward at times, but other than that, it was a great read.
Alrighty, well you heard it. If you want to read this book, watch those 5 seasons first. I think that's good. I think that's good to know, so that if you see this in stores and you're like, well, I want to pick it up because I'm interested, you know first to watch the Clone Wars,
At least,
and then pick up the book.
at least watch some of it, because if you go in blind, it's going to be a character that we're focusing on that you've never heard of. And to not know the character going into it, when they're assuming that we know who this character is, you're just going to be lost. You're going to have no idea what's going on. So I don't want to spoil parts of Clone Wars, so definitely go and watch that first, at least 1 or 2 seasons, so that you really get to meet the character.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it'd be more interesting that way anyway.
Oh, for sure.
So now you know. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as always, if you have any questions, Mark will be more than happy to answer them down below.
I didn't get a chance to do it last time, but for anybody who's into video games, me and my roommate Kenny and a couple of our other friends have our own channel, Generation Gap Let's Plays, that we do video game Let's Plays. A little bit more vulgar, so not for the young at heart, but definitely check that out if you're into Let's Plays.
Yes, I'll leave the link down below. I also linked it in the other video too, so if you watch that one or you're watching this one, the link for their channel will be down below. It's called Generation Gap, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Alright, see you guys next time. Bye.